Welcome to Unveiling, where we highlight the stories of individuals who have achieved good success in Christ. I'm Adise Jonas Murphy, and having talked about achieving good success in Christ, I want to remind you that success is not only about measuring where an individual has reached in this life. Success also has to do with how individuals have overcome the obstacles that they've been faced with. And today I am delighted, you notice I'm outdoors, yes. I'm delighted to welcome to Unveiling one called Karen Roberts. Now, Karen has a remarkable story, a remarkable testimony that she's going to be sharing with the world today. And if I were to describe her, I would use words like Karen is a fighter. You'll learn more about that. I'd also use words like, she is a survivor, simply one who's found her purpose in Christ and is making her mark in this world. Karen Roberts, my Tobagonian friend, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on Unveiling today. And, we're looking forward to what you will share with us and how you'll be able to inspire those individuals who are tuned in at this point. Now, you have a remarkable story. And I think I want to just, before we get started, let's do this. So you're from Tobago.
Yes.
And, every time we go to the same church, by the way. So every time I go to her and I say, my Trinidad and Tobago friend, no, I'm from Tobago. Why is it important that you made that distinction? Let's start there.
It is very important to me because Tobago is a lovely place. Tobago is where I come from, where I grew up. But Trinidadians doesn't really say Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
They only focus on Trinidad.
I got you.
It's not Trinidad alone. It's Trinidad and Tobago. We under one rule, one flag, two separate people. Trinidad is a bigger place, like fast going. Tobago is very slow, quiet, serene.
Right.
So, and I love it.
I love it too. So we were talking just before we came on camera, and we recognized that though there's some similarities that we have, Jamaicans and Tobagonians, that there are also some very interesting differences, particularly as it relates to food.
Yes.
Right? So in Jamaica, I'm gonna call a food or fruit, and you tell me the Tobagonian or Trinidadian reference. All right. So let's go with green bananas. What do you call it?
Green banana, fig.
Fig?
F-I-G, fig.
So if I go to Tobago, I need to ask for figs?
Yeah.
Okay, and they'll give me a serving of green bananas?
Yes.
All right, well, let's go with what we call star fruits. What do you call it?
Five finger.
Five fingers. Okay, in Jamaica, we also say jumbilin. So it's jumbilin or star fruit. You say five finger.
Right.
We call coconut drops in Jamaica. Coconut
my
drops. What do you call it?
Coconut drops for you is something totally different to what I call drops.
Okay.
For instance, yesterday I was going to get some drops that I thought was drops.
Drops.
When it came to me, I'm like, no, that's not drops. That's sugar cake. And they were like, what are you talking about? This is drops. No, it's not. Drops for us is like you grate a coconut, you mix it with flour, your essence, and different spices, and you bake it.
Right.
And you drop it on the tray in circles. That's a drop, or we call it drops of rock cake.
Oh, so what we call rock cake, you call drops.
Yeah.
So she comes to church yesterday, folk, and she's talking to a Jamaican, and she says she wants drops. And they gave her drops. We know drops as, coconut cut up and, with sugar, and it's baked, and, but it's it's shortcake for you.
Your husband, Pastor Murphy, had a laugh with me about this. And he made it was Shaman, hold it up again and say, Karen, what do you call that? Drops. They make fun of me of it, but that's what we call it. We call it drops, you call it drops, we call it sugar cake.
Sugar cake.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So so as close as we are still different, and it's in the differences that we appreciate each other. And so this is a nice little light launching pad into your story, Karen. Let's talk about you. Who is Karen Roberts?
Well, my home name is Laverne. That's the name my grandmother gave me when she took me from my mom as a baby. they gave me that name, but it's not my government name. My government name is Karen, right? Karen Pamela Roberts. Is a person who grew up with her grandparents, mother and father, and an aunt, and I forget a sibling, who is my sister on father's side.
Okay.
So we grew up with our grandparents. She was older than me, very much older than me. And I used to follow her around. So everything she do, that is wrong. Of course, I'm going to get the blame. For instance, she used to, as the bake the corn and thing come out of the oven, she'll steal the bone, or she'll steal the sweet bread, or she'll steal the fish. But Karen getting the blame.
Right.
Karen getting the licks. Laverne at the time. But anyway, that was life for me.
Okay.
It wasn't like, it was a sister thing. It wasn't a hatred thing to say, well, I turn around and hate her for she that. No, it wasn't like that.
Okay.
So we grew up loving each other.
Wonderful.
We grew up doing chores in the house. You have to do the garden, go to the garden, feed the fowls, go to the river, bring home the water, fill up the barrels, and stuff like that before you even go to school.
Right.
You have to be obedient. You disobey. Anything my grandmother have, if it's her shoes,
My Lord.
a pot spoon,
Yes. anything
she has around her, you're going to get it.
Wow.
She taught us to pay attention to her when she's cooking. Like one time she's cooking and I had to look at what she's doing and I turn away. I get a pot spoon. That's how you have to pay attention. So she taught us to wash, cook, clean, iron. And when I say clean, our house have, I don't know what you all call it in Jamaica, but we call it louvers.
Windows?
Louvers is some board things that you look, it's like the louvers itself, but it was board.
Okay.
You had to clean them things, you had to polish the floor, you had to shine the chairs and everything. So that's home life.
So from very early, Karen was acquainted with what it meant to be industrious, with discipline, with just being able to assist in any way you could. Now, I know you're from a bigger family. Your parents had, how many of you?
10.
And you fall at what number?
7.
So you're the perfect number, okay. But you were sharing with me, though, that you were the only one, you and probably another sibling, who lived away from your parents and the rest of your siblings.
Right.
So out of the 10, you lived with your grandmother, and I think your brother lived with someone else. Now, how did that affect you? Because being in the minority group, living away from your parents, did you at any point feel like, why me, or feel insecure, or just feel unhappy about that element?
I wouldn't say unhappy. I just felt like an outsider, like I was left out. Even though I was close to them they're right there, but it wasn't the same.
Right.
Because you go over there and they tell you go back home and meet your grandmother. No, we are one, so why would I have to separate myself? But it didn't bother me because I had no other way of thinking. Right. So that's how I knew it. But it went on until they migrated. They left to Trinidad to live before they came to New York.
Okay.
Right. But something happened between then. I was around 6 years old, 6 years old, and I was thirsty. They were roasting cashew.
Right.
Cashew is the cashew that we eat.
Yes.
Then it's in a
nut form.
Nut form where you have to roast it to get the seed out, the cashew, the nut out. So we were doing that one day, and I was thirsty, and I asked for some water to drink, and they said, "Look, water there, drink it." Look, that drink it. It was in a the grapefruit orange tins. It was in one of those tins. So I pick it up and I drink it, thinking it was water. It was kerosene, of course.
What?
Yeah.
You were 5 or 6?
Yeah, kerosene. So they had to rush me to the hospital to get me pumped out. Growing up, I asked a question to my sister, "Why did you do it? Why you give me that to drink knowing it was kerosene?" I'm not going to say what she said.
Okay. All right, so a couple of things that we've learned so far. So you're from a family of 10. You didn't live in that. You didn't grow up in that family. You grew up with your grandparents. One thing we failed to explicitly mention was that they were right beside each other.
Yeah.
The households.
Yeah.
So even though you were right beside, you were not much integrated into family life. Now, all right, take me through to the age of about 11 or so. So you had, by this time, you had started school much earlier.
Yeah, in school.
Coming up.
In school, in Pathfinders and Dorcas and whatever activity church has, because that's your life. That's what you know. You're going out to sing to different chorales and stuff. That's what you know. That's how you grow up.
Right.
I didn't have the pleasure of going into like a school friend home to sit down and lime. No, that was a no-no for my grandmother. You don't leave your house and go and sit down and hot up somebody else's house.
So you never had a social life?
No. Beside home and church and school.
Okay.
Or they'd give me the privilege to go and look for my grandmother on mother's side in another village. Or a cousin would come and take me to spend like summertime by them.
Got you.
But that's about it. So.
Wow. Okay. So you were going to school and you had a number of interesting occurrences.
Yes,
Let me
I
put it that
used
way.
to get into little fights and stuff in school.
How little were the fights?
Not no big thing. You hit me, I hit you back, because I'm not going to take your lash. I'm not going to let you hit me and think you're going to get away with it. I'm going to retaliate.
Okay.
At one time, the teachers used to beat us. Like for the smallest thing in school, the teachers want to beat you. So 2 cousins and myself decided one time to pay them back. So we went down to the bush, got some courage. You know courage?
Courage, I know that.
Yes. Put it in a brown paper bag and came back in the school and let it go in the school. So not one person got affected. The whole school got affected, so they had to shut down the school.
Oh my.
Because everybody were itching. Who did it? Well, nobody knows.
My Lord. Well, not until today. Probably find out today. But all right. So you had that instance. There was another instance where you got into another fight. You did something to a guy's face.
Fight
what's
with
up
this
with
boy.
that?
He was just persistent behind me, bothering me, so I didn't like him, and I marked him on his face with my fingernail. And his grandmother came home to my grandmother, and told her what happened and showed her, and I got licks.
Okay. So you were familiar with, as you call them, licks?
Yeah,
Spanking.
beating, yeah.
You were familiar with beating.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess you'd describe your life then, Karen, as adventurous, your formative years?
Yeah, I would say so, because Pauline lady loved to bake to feed the whole nation. And she gave me her money, to 25 cents to go buy her baking powder. Friday, she baking for Sabbath.
Right.
Instead of Karen, Laverne at the time, go buy the woman baking powder, I put the 25 cents in a jukebox and punch in Mr. Big Stuff, which I'd love. It just came out. Who do you think you are? And I stand up in front there dancing to this tune. Of course, somebody went home and tell her. She came up, saw me, and beat me from there straight home.
Yeah.
That wasn't the only instance. She sent me to clean my uncle's home, my great uncle, which is her husband, brother. He was a pastor. To go and clean his home on Friday, preparing for the Sabbath. Karen, Laverne gonna sit down under a tree, liming with a boy who I'd like.
Happy preparation day.
Of course, a cousin who lived next door across there saw me go down the street and tell our grandmother. She came up. I saw her coming there. Did I get up and run? No. I get like some there straight home in front of the boy, straight home. She wasn't playing.
So did you see him again?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say no.
He from the village. Of course I'm going to see him again.
Yeah. All right. So we're getting an idea and understanding of your life. And, you were sharing with me that, not having your parents, and in particular your mother, to be able to guide you and shape you, especially hitting puberty. There are a lot of changes that our bodies undergo, and you didn't have that kind of support. What did that do to you?
I had to learn from school, one of the teachers in school, to tell me what period was. And I found the hygiene book that my aunt had, and I was reading it. Now, why would you hide this from a child? Why would they hide this? But that's how they were.
Right.
They never used to be outright to you and come out and tell you stuff. They hide stuff. So I read it, and that's how I know about hygiene and what to do with myself and Yeah, I didn't have my mom or my siblings to tell me that, right?
So we wanted to just pause right there. And for those of you who are just tuning in, I'm having a discussion with Karen Roberts. She's sharing with us her story of how she has overcome some challenges in her life. And believe me, if you think we have gotten anywhere yet, you need to hold on to your seats, because it's going to get even more intriguing. But just want to remind you to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons right at this point. If you haven't yet done it, please, we invite you to do that. Subscribe to our channel. This is Unveiling, brought to you courtesy by Setalite Media, and of course, in this instance, the Cheddar Productions. So back to you, Karen. You were saying that at the age of 15, you got pregnant. Tell me about that. Were you in? By the way, were you in school at this point?
No,
you were not in school.
I was home.
You got pregnant.
School was done because I sat common entrance and I didn't pass because I didn't like maths. So I didn't pass my common entrance, so that was it. I was home after that. So
Okay.
I had to stay home and do your chores and do whatever you have to do at home. So that was my life growing up.
Okay.
My grandmother got sick during that time, my 14, 15 years old, and she went to the hospital. So while I knew one day, I had this little friend who we had liked each other, and inquisitive wanted to know what sex was, because I heard my friends and cousins them talking back then. They used to call it rudeness,
Right.
and I wanted to know what they were talking about. So I investigated. I said I investigate, and that's what happened. I got pregnant. Got pregnant at that time, and my grandmother come and died.
Right.
If she were alive, I wouldn't have been alive. I'd have been a dead person.
My lord.
Yeah, that's how strict she was. But anyway, she passed away, and the boy parents moved to St. Croix. So he never knew that I was pregnant.
Okay.
He knew nothing about that. My aunt was with me. My siblings and mother and them was in Trinidad and Tobago living before they migrated to New York. My elder sister, she had already left home, so it was just me and my grandparents, my grandfather and my aunt after my grandmother died. This other guy now saw me, say he liked me, and decided to take me from home to Trinidad to live.
Okay.
15, just had the baby.
How old was this guy?
10 years older than me.
Okay.
But at that time, I wasn't even looking at age or whatever.
Right.
I just...
Security. Got you.
So I left with him, but before I left that night to go with him, my uncle said to me, when you're in good house, bad house will send and call you. And I didn't understand what he was saying, but I went. When I went with this guy, it's better I stayed home. Life was not easy. Life was rough. Because here I am with this baby, got pregnant at 15, met him when I was 16. Don't know what to do. He's out doing what he's doing with all the ladies, and I'm just there. And at that time, it wasn't like he took me from home in Tobago from a house to live in a house.
Right.
I was sleeping sometimes on a floor in a Baptist church on the ground with this baby, and I had nothing to eat or to nurse the baby. So whatever he was drawing from me, that's what he was getting. One lady gave me, used to boil olive tree leaf, the leaves, and gave me to drink to see the milk will flow.
Wow.
So it was rough. My child nursed me until my collarbone was like standing up in my neck. But anyway, life was rough with him. It was pretty rough. And then he took me from there down to another place in San Fernando where his parents were from.
Right.
And it was still hard because he had loved to drink. And he'll drink, come home, and beat me up. He'll give you money to go and make groceries. You go and make the grocery, and by the time you come back home, it's a fight in the house and all the groceries going out the door. And where we were living at the time was a little canal. So everything going in the canal and get wet. You can't go and pick it up.
Right.
His neighbors who used to help me out with food sometimes for me and my baby to eat. And it was rough. My life was rough. My life was pretty rough. You couldn't talk to anybody. If you see me talking to a guy, I'm with the guy. Innocent, eh? But when I tell you I was innocent, naive, and stupid. And not thinking that there was a life beside him.
Right.
I stayed there.
How long did you stay in that situation
Oh,
for?
God. I got pregnant by him. My second son, which I love dearly. I love all my kids. Yes, I love all 3 of my kids. But when I got pregnant with him, now he's telling himself it's not his. The day that child was to born, I remember getting up that Saturday morning and going to the market, shopping, coming home, cook, wash, clean out. And pain was coming along. So I had pain that whole day. There was a band playing next door because they used to practice next door. And my neighbors had me dancing to the music, moving around to help me out because he didn't take me to the hospital. They called a midwife to come home. And around 6 o'clock in the evening, pain started to get bad. So when she came, he was sitting outside now, smoking, chain smoking, saying the child is not him. He's waiting for the child to born to say it's not his.
Right.
When that baby born, the baby was blacker than this thing. And a little piece of his ears was clear, and the midwife said he's going to clear up. He looked at him and said the child is not here. I'm like, something is wrong with you. But anyway, it's his. He realized the child was his, and we were going forward from then. But still, the drinking was a problem.
Right.
He couldn't drink. He just opened the bottle, I used to say he smelled the cover, and he get drunk. When he get drunk, it's a different story. It's a different human being. He even, a neighbor even took him to a church one time, an open Bible church, for the pastor to pray for him. You know what he did? He flinged that pastor from the front of the church to the back of the church, like he had a demon in him when he drank.
So, Karen, how did you navigate life living in this condition with 2 children? Because by this time now, what's the age difference between your children?
Curtis says, call his name. 3 years difference.
3 years difference.
Yeah.
So you
73,
have
76.
So you have a 3-year-old and you have a newborn in the same space with a drunk.
Yeah.
A drunk man. So how do you navigate this season, this period?
Through the help of neighbors. We had a dear neighbor, they passed away now, who was very kind and helpful. They were there for me right through. And they helped me along. They even saved me sometimes from him. They took me one time and sent me to another place to live with one of their family members.
Right.
He found out where I was, and of course back there I was with him again. Oh, I want to do it again, he's going to change and blah, 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 blah. You know the story. But it always happened.
Yeah.
One time we went out, a couple of friends and us went out to the beach. Used to love to go on the beach. When I came back home, all my clothes was outside burned up. He just burned all my clothes.
Wow. Must have been difficult. You know, there are many persons who maybe tuned in right now who are enduring similar circumstances, Karen, who are going through abusive relationships, going through abusive circumstances, may not, be from the father of their child. It may actually be a parent, whatever form that abuse is taking place. And what word do you have for that person at this moment? Because I'm sure you probably had some moments where you felt like you just didn't want to continue, with life. But at this point, somebody's watching and they need some sort of some hope. What words do you have for them at this point?
Growing up, I had God in my life, even though I stray away from the Seventh-day Adventist and came out, but I still hold on to my belief.
Right.
So I had the strength of the neighbors, as I said, helping me out, and they took me to church. I used to go to this open Bible church. So I had support.
Right.
For a person who is looking right now, if you're in that situation and you could get away and keep moving. Don't get away and come back and say that the person is going to change and they're going to do different. No, it's the same. So if you have someone who is helping you, you have that support, use that support and try to help yourself. At that time, my uncle, one of my uncle on mother's side came, my aunt came, my brother came, my sisters came to get me to leave him, to come back home to Tobago.
Why didn't you go?
Claim I love him.
Did you really?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
So, all right. So you were pregnant with 2 children in an abusive situation. Where was God?
God wasn't there at the time. I was more into looking into the party life with my friends, even though we were going to the open Bible church, but I was more on the outside. Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago, that was my thing.
Yeah.
Every party, I have to go.
Bitter.
Yeah. I love dancing, so as you hear the pan knock,
That's it.
that's it. Yes, I will go to church, yes, but I wasn't focusing on God at that time. Even though I know He was there for me, I wasn't focusing on that. I was more outside.
If you're just joining us, I'm having a conversation with Karen Roberts. Karen is talking to us about, life, her journey, some of the challenges she's had to face. And what's interesting is that Karen says that God wasn't there. But the truth of the matter is you're going to see how the story turns and how God really was there. It was His guiding hand, His providential hand that kept her afloat in all of this. Karen, your story continues. By the way, I want to remind you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel right now. Hit it. YouTube, yeah, click right there. Thank you. So, Karen, life continued and eventually got out of that situation. Talk to us how.
Yeah, but let's go back. Let's go back to me being 15, pregnant, and got raped.
So let's pause a second. So this is by the same.
No.
This is by somebody
This is by a policeman. I was up at another village visiting my mother's mother, my grandmother, and night came in, so I'm looking for a ride home to go home to my village. And he was passing at the time, knew me, yes, and decided to tell my friends, who is my kid's father at the time, that yes, he's going to drop me home. No, he didn't. He picked me up and took me from there, swing around, and went to some bushes and said if I didn't give in to him, he was going to leave me there. Young, naive, pregnant, in the dark, don't know different. It happened. He dropped me home. Of course, I mentioned it to, but back in them days, nobody wants to believe you because he's this person who they think that won't do anything wrong.
Right.
So it was never talked about. It was never investigated. It was just a blow over. Leave it like that. You know, back them times people used to sweep things under the rug. That's what happened with that. But anyway, I got over it and move on. Going forward, when it happened again, the second time.
By the same individual?
No, this is somebody totally different. I got involved with a guy, a neighbor. His wife, God forgive me, was treating him very bad, poorly. And I felt sorry for him because I see how hard he was working. I got involved with him, right? And she found out, of course. She ambushed me one time by a standpipe. She hit me with a bottle on my head, took my top off, ripped my top off me, and as they said, she took it to a cemetery to bury it, to do whatever she thinks she could do with me. It didn't work. I'm here. I got 7 stitches with that. We had to go to court. I took her to court. And when they was going to sentence her, the judge was going to sentence her, I said to him to forgive her because I knew I was wrong and she had children. Who is going to look after the kids if she has to go to jail? So that was it. But the husband, I will say he fell in love with me. I was getting licked by my husband at that time. So he took me by his mom to live. And that's where I was. So when the individual took my clothes to the cemetery, his mom decided to take me to this Baptist place to whatever, to help make sure that nothing go wrong with me. But nothing did. I don't know what she did or what she think would have happened. She think she was going to kill me or whatever, but nothing happened, thank God. But anyway, that's how I got into the Baptist faith then. And I don't know if you know about how people they put you on the mourning ground for a couple of nights before they baptize you.
Oh no.
When they bind your eye and
okay.
And yeah, so I went through all that process. And the pastor or the leader for the church was evil. That man was evil. And he used to use the Bible like a tool, telling him that whatever he's reading or whatever he's doing is from the Bible. He threatened me one night that if I did not give in to him, he was going to kill me. Even though his wife is in the house next door. So that's how it happened again. And I just said to myself after that, no, this is wrong. So I went and I speak out. And when I spoke out, the ladies from the church knew that this individual used to do that to people.
What came out of that situation?
Nothing. I left and went to Trinidad. He died. But before he died, he had to tell God everything that he did. He had to talk.
Okay. So where is your husband in the scheme of things?
I had left him because same abuse thing.
Right.
I had left him. I said I had enough. I didn't want to go through it anymore, so I had left him. When I was living at the other village by the guy mother, he came and said, oh, he forgive me. He's not going to do it again. He's going to stop drinking. He's going to... Foolish. I went back home to him. About 2 nights after, next again, I get my head bust. Again. I have marks on me that this guy gave me, that things that he did to me that I won't see on camera.
Right.
Yeah. It was bad.
Okay, so give us an idea of where you are at this point in your life. How old are you when this all takes place?
I would say in my teens. I would say around 2021.
Karen, that's a hard life. Yes, you made some choices that were not good choices. But looking back at it, you were sharing with me a letter that you wrote to your mom, right? I want you to share with our viewers what you shared with me. What was that letter about? And we're going to tie it into everything that you've said.
That letter was to ask my mom, where do I fit in with her, my dad, and my siblings? Because I always felt like an outsider. Yes, I'm part of the family, but I wasn't in the close relationship with them. We had not that sister and brother thing where we sit down and talk and laugh. It wasn't like that. So I needed to know where I fit in. And she told me that, she said, even though you were living with your grandparents, I loved you. I always loved you, and I knew you were my child.
Yeah. You know, the more I live, the more I learn. I'm understanding the critical role that parents play in a child's life. And I mean, life happens, right? You know, sometimes situations won't always work out the way they should ideally. And for one reason or another, you know, children are separated from their parents. But, you know, just looking at this integral role that parents play in children's lives, it's so important, because you were at some points searching for this love that you never had.
I guess,
not knowing,
yeah.
not knowing. But you were just, the intrigue, being intrigued, yes, but you were searching for something that you've always wanted. And now, here you are at the age of 21. What happens next in your life, Karen? Tell us, because we're building up to that moment where we share the big story, the big part of the story.
Party girl. I was a party girl.
Yeah.
Out partying. But in that partying, I knew that I was not doing what I was brought up to do. In the Open Bible Church, yes. I was baptized into Baptist, yes. But still, it was not like I knew it to be. So, living in Trinidad, I was out in the world. Until I decided to come to New York. But before coming to New York, I had my third child.
Talk to us about that. Who is the daddy in this one now?
That's the husband.
Okay.
Yeah. I had my third child. Still, it's not his. Still, he believed it's not his child. I had to deal with that all over again. But anyway, the child born, the child is his own. That was the best child in his life. You couldn't do nothing to that child. He will get at you for that child. Oh, Lord. Anyway, yeah, I had my third child. So then I decided to come to New York and to make a better life for myself. It was hard to leave my kids because they were young. But I came, I filed for them. The eldest one got married at the time. So that was a problem with immigration because he got married. I can't file for him or whatever. That was a different story after they don't take my money. But anyway, the second one said he ain't coming. No, he ain't going on no plane to go anyway. So the girl, eventually I got her to come and live with me. But my life from Trinidad to New York, still partying, out in the world, got involved with a guy, just met him, like I came into New York today, went to a party, let's say Wednesday night, see this guy in the party, and we were into it like we knew each other from Jumpstart. He was from Trinidad also. Right. My sister then said, do you know this guy? No, but that's how it's like a connection.
Yeah.
So we had an ongoing relationship going. But he was out in the world doing his stuff. And I was babysitting at the time before I got into the medical field doing HIV counseling and testing. Knew what HIV was because I was dealing with people outside in the world knowing, had friends who had it. Out of this blue one day, he said to me, you have to have an HIV test done. And I'm like, okay. Still not thinking maybe something is wrong. So
hold on, Karen. Hold up. You're saying to me that the guy you met at the party.
Yeah, we had a relationship for years.
Instant
connection.
Relationship for years. Says to you out of the blue one day, you need to go get tested for HIV.
Yeah. And I did. His sister said to me at the time, Karen, suppose you take this and it come back positive. What are you going to do? I said, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Still not thinking something is wrong. I went, took the test. But then you had to wait 2 weeks to get the results. When I went back to get the results, I told the people that I was working at the time, she had a baby and was pregnant again, and the other kid used to throw tantrum and want to bite. So I told him, I said, listen, if my test results come back positive, I'm not coming back to your house to work.
Right.
I took myself out. You understand? When the lady called me in the room to give me the results, she was eating. She put her food aside and she said to me, your results came back and you test positive for HIV. And I'm looking at this lady like, okay. And she started to talk to me. I'm sitting there, but I'm not there. I left there and I went to Tobago. Because I'm thinking now, I'm always telling my kids, the boys especially, I know you're all out there doing all the thing, protect yourself.
Right.
Now, here I am, come find myself HIV positive. What the hell am I going to tell these children? So that's where I was. And she's talking, but I'm not paying attention here. When she snapped at me and I came back into the room, she said, well, you hearing anything else? No, because I was thinking of my kids. How am I going to explain this to them? What am I going to tell them? Well, she counseled me and telling me the different things that I have to do and what I'm not supposed to eat and what, she's going to take me to this other doctor to run tests and she's going to take me to the nutritionist. Yes, she did all of that. That day, they took 6, you see this bump here? Since 1990, it had been punctured in this hole.
That's the year you found out?
No, that's where they did draw blood from.
Okay.
They took 16 vials from me that day, that same day, to run different tests. And when I went into the doctor's office, he looked at me and asked me, like, what are you here for? Now, all that time, I'm getting mad, eh? So I snapped at him. What stupidness you asking me? You have my chart in front of me. Why are you asking me what I'm here for? It's there in front of your face. That's my reaction to him. He looked at me, he understand why I reacted that way. But anyway, that was done. I called the individual and I said to him, I said, I got back my test results. I need to speak to you. He was getting ready to go to work. I said, don't go to work. Wait until I come. I had to take the train because he was living in Queens at that time. We were in Queens and I was in Brooklyn. I said, I'm not going to take the train because it's going to take too long. You take a taxi and when I come, you pay for it. So he did. But before I got to him, I called two of my best friends and I let them know what is happening. And they was like, you better go get another opinion because nobody wants to believe.
Right.
So when I went to him and I told him what happened, he said to me, 5 words. Do not tell anyone.
So what did you do?
No, why you don't want me to tell anyone? Explain to me, are you HIV positive? Why did you tell me to get tested? Nothing. I said, if this is what we're dealing with, we have to deal with it together.
Right, right.
Mr. Man started to pull himself away from me like I did him something wrong, knowing fully well what he knew. When they asked me at the doctor's office, you have to report who your partners are.
Yeah.
I gave them the name because they'll call the individual and say, you have been exposed to HIV, you gotta get tested.
Right.
So that's what they do. That's the law. They called him and let him know. He already knew he was positive. He knew what was with. So he started to lie to his family. His mother and dad was here at the time and they knew me and they knew how I used to be this jovial person. They look at me all sulky crying and then he's like, what happened? What's going on? What happened to you? I said, you know what? I'm going to talk. So I told him and he was mad at me for that.
So they didn't know that he was HIV positive?
No. Even his sister who knew my results, he was lying to her also. He's not positive.
So Karen, this life just changed for you, like right there. How How did you deal with this?
Going forward, I said to myself, if he doesn't want to deal with it, that's fine with him. I'm going to take care of me. I told a couple more friends. I called my elder sister and I told her, say, if you know of someone who is positive with HIV, how are you going to deal with that individual? Are you going to shun them or whatever? She said no. So I went home to the house and I told her what happened. She hugged me, she cried, and like, we're going to deal with this. So going forward now to my mom, I had surgery. Let me bring this in. I had hysterectomy surgery, right? In the hospital after the surgery, I had this fever that wasn't going anywhere. The doctors and nurses knew that I was HIV positive, but they couldn't tell me because you cannot tell somebody that HIV positive without the knowledge. You didn't ask them for permission to test you, right? That's the law, so they couldn't tell me anything. She came and the doctor sat and she said to me, we found an infection in your blood. But at that time, I wasn't thinking about anything. So to ask a question, what infection? I just tell myself, oh, surgery, just had surgery, you know, after surgery, you pick up infection, you're getting sick or whatever. But it went on for a while with the fever. And I went home to Tobago and my brother said to me, come go in the sea and bathe and to sting. And I did, thinking that fever would go away. Is when I came back to New York. That's when I found out that about the HIV. Didn't know that I was HIV all along that time.
So since 1998, you have been living with HIV/AIDS.
That I know of.
That you know of. Well, since 1998. So how has life been for you since? I mean, what has you know? People can be cruel sometimes, especially in finding out. You know, there's the fear of prejudice and judgment, and also not just that, but you individually just trying to deal with the fact that this is life altering.
When I told my sisters, one said to me, go and get another opinion. I said, I already did 2, 3, 4, and this is the results. That I need to know now if you all don't want me back in the house, if you all don't want me to eat or drink in all the plate and cup and spoon, let me know now so I will take my leave. And they were like, you stupid or something, right? They never showed me any funny face. I don't know if it happened behind my back.
Right, but you didn't see it.
Didn't see it. They were all loving and supportive with me, and I had them. I had my friends. I also had a support group. But coming to this support group now is reading a magazine and seeing these different things in this HIV magazine and where you could go to get support and things. So I did. And a girl introduced me to this doctor because I didn't have an HIV doctor as yet. She introduced me to her doctor and she said, he's very good. Dr. Conrad Fisher, thank God for him. He said to me when I went in the day, he said, I have a person here who is working with me from Trinidad. And she's also HIV positive. She's open about it. I will hook you all up together. And he did. We connected. She had a baby. No, I don't say a baby, but a 5, 6-year-old child who had the HIV too. We connected. And I had to watch that girl take 7 blue pills every day. I said, Lord, if this child could do this, I could do this. So I built up my strength from her. She introduced me to, she used to go to the Baptist church, went back into the Baptist again. The mother of the church, very nice lady, very supportive. She was there for me right, and still is to this day. She's a very nice person. But anyway, I got into the faith. I'm Baptist, as like the pictures I show you, wearing my long gowns and everything, which I used to love, dressing up every Sunday to go to church, my long gowns. But anyway, I had support, right? But even though I had the support, I was still thinking, this is going to be a death sentence. How am I going to tell my children? And then people see you going to these different places, different support groups, so you meet up people that you don't even know who know you from Tobago or whatever.
Right.
And it started to spread that I had AIDS.
Right.
I do not have AIDS. I'm HIV positive. So I said, before my kids hear this on the outside, I have to let them know. it was hard to call him on the phone, the eldest one on the phone, to say, I have something to tell you. Get your brother and you'll go someplace where we could talk. And I told him on the phone, I explained to them, I wasn't there to see their reaction, but I understand that they were hugging each other and crying and stuff. And I decided to go home. Mm-hmm. I said, I had to go home. Mm-hmm. So I went home to Tobago and put them sit down and explain to them, this is the situation. It's not a death sentence. I know of people who tell me that they live with this for 25 years as well. People can live with this for 25, so can I. Right? I spoke to my other siblings and them home, let them know what's happening. My family, everybody knew. I was out open. I never hide it. And my eldest son now came up to New York, and I took him to my doctors. I took him to all the different support group, and they counsel him and they teach him and let him know different things and how we look at it in Trinidad and Tobago is a death sentence, because you used to see the billboard saying AIDS and you die. Yeah. So we had to let them know it's not like that. And there's medications that can help. Thank God.
So you've been on medication since then to this day?
No.
Okay.
No medication, because my T cells, which is what the virus destroys, was at a level so perfect that, like a person who doesn't have it, the doctors used to say, it's not broken, don't fix it. So they didn't put me on any meds. I wasn't on meds for like 4 years. Yeah. Until a different strain came in, and the doctor said to me, I have to start you on regimen now because I don't want it to get co-infected with any different strains. You know, I was in the medical now testing people for HIV and counseling them. So he put me on meds. One pill, I started to take, forget the name, but one pill every night. Thank God it was one. Yeah. But it's one pill with a combination of 3. Okay. So all the different pills that I saw these people taking, thank God I didn't have to take all the medication. One. And now it's switched to another one, which is the same one, combination of 3. And since I've been taking it, I read and heard people saying that the side effects and what it do to them, and nothing.
Thank God. So Karen, so this is my favorite part of the story now. We're gonna take it home in this last segment. But before you do, I want to remind you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're just tuning in, I am Adise Jonas Murphy. I'm having a conversation with Karen Robert, sharing her story. I can't find an adjective right now. I can't. There's so many coming to mind, but sharing with her powerful and inspiring story about, you know, how God's guiding hand has been with her. So she's overcome many challenges. But here we are, Karen. We're at the pivotal point. God's guiding hand has been with you. When you were partying, when you were out there in the world, as you put it, when you turn your back on God, when you're out there doing everything, His hand has been guiding you. Talk to us about coming back into the faith that you first knew.
Before we get there, I contemplated suicide. I didn't want to live. Now, how am I going to live with my kids, knowing this is what is going on with me? And this is before I went and I tell them. Right. I had a plan and everything, what to do. And one day I picked up this magazine, it was a Thursday. I picked up this magazine, I said, call for support. And I did. And that man comes to me on the phone and telling me it's not the end of the world, that there's life after that. You can live with it. I sat down one day and I said to myself, God, this is not how I want to end up. Now here I am coming back now. All the time he was there, but I wasn't going for him. I wasn't talking to him. Right. And I started to, even though I was in the Baptist faith, something was missing. Something was missing. It wasn't the same like I knew, like I grew up with. It wasn't, something was missing. And one day I just decided to not do it anymore. Not go into the Baptist faith anymore. Not to stay in the Baptist faith anymore. So I told the mother of the church, I said, Mom, I'm leaving. Yeah. I made up my mind I have to go back to what I knew, what I grew up with.
What year was that now? That's 2019?
Yes. I was passing one day and saw this Seventh-day Adventist church, Ebenezer Seventh-day Adventist church, and I said, okay. And right then they had a crusade was about to begin. I started to go to the crusade. And I said, this is it. There's no turning back. I got baptized. That day, after the baptism, the pastor made me share my story to the congregation, which I did. Moving forward, my daughter, who was living with me, with my granddaughter, you met Shadi, Seventh-day Adventist, but outside.
Right.
I told her, I said, I turn around my life, I give my life back to Christ. This is what's going forward. I don't want no drinking, no smoking, because she's doing that. Drinking or smoking in the house. I don't want no cooking of no pork and shrimps and things in the house. Because we are living together. She had her own room, bathroom, and separate rooms, but we were together. And she didn't want to give me that. And it was stressing me. And I said, you know what? This is a grown person who could live her life on her own. I don't need to be putting myself to the stress, because the stress is going to kill me faster than the HIV days. And I decided now to leave her. I said, either I go back home to Tobago and live, or something. When I explained to my aunt what I wanted to do, she said, this is right after COVID. She said, don't go, come to Florida.
My Lord.
That is how I ended up in Florida. I packed 4 suitcases of clothes. I left my daughter, and I just come to New York, come to Florida.
And here you are.
And here I am.
Yeah. Sharing, of course, your powerful story with so many individuals. I promise you, thousands of persons are going to be inspired by this. And I know we've come to the end of the interview, Karen, but I need to allow you, in your next sentence or so, to provide hope, reassurance, and comfort to those who are listening right now. You mentioned the words of what the counselor on the support line said. I jotted it down. It says, it's not the end of the world. You can live with it. What is it that you want to remind those who are watching right now of, and the power of your God? What about somebody who's living their life, in the river, on the bank, on a different trajectory? How would you tell them to come back home?
There's hope. There's hope. And once you have your faith that God is there, don't give up. Hold on to Him. If I had given up, I want to be here. I decided to give my life back to Him and know that I wasn't going to go back out. And when I made that step, I felt a difference came over me. Pushing forward, I sit at home, read my Bible, talk to God, and thank Him for being around me all this time. Because even though I was out there being abused, being raped, God was still there. He did not leave me. I left Him. Coming back to Him made me feel more powerful, made me feel that I was wasting my time. It gave me hope and assurance that life goes on, even after all these obstacles. You have faith in God, you hold on to that hope, life goes on.
Karen Roberts, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Karen, for sharing with us today your powerful story. And for those of you who are, viewing at this point, this is not the end of the road for you. I know how it is. Life is hard. My young people always tell me life is lifing. I get it. But there comes a point in time after you've searched and searched and searched and searched and done all you can, just being absorbed in the things of this world, there's going to be something missing. There's going to be something missing. Why not try coming back home to your first love, Jesus Christ? And also, for those of you who would not have had the privilege of growing up with your parents, being in that situation where you benefited from their physical presence, I want to remind you that there is one whose presence never fails. We call him Jesus Christ. And he wants so much to love you and keep you in his fold. So come back to him, stay with him, and everything will be okay. On behalf of our hardworking production team, I want to thank you for tuning in to Unveiling. See us next time. We'll have another powerful story. My name is Adise Jonas Murphy. God bless you.